My name is Raven Sterling. I'm 22 years old. 2 weeks ago, my father stood in front of 50 people at my graduation party, raised a glass of champagne, looked directly at my younger sister, and said something that changed my life forever. I wish it had been you holding that diploma tonight, Camille. The room fell silent. Then he smiled proudly at her and added, "You are the only child who has ever truly made me proud." My mother nodded. Several guests clapped awkwardly. Nobody defended me. Nobody told him he was wrong. Nobody even looked in my direction. I sat frozen at my table, feeling like I had just disappeared in front of everyone. A few minutes later, I quietly walked out. No one stopped me. No one followed me. No one seemed to notice. At least that's what they thought. Because what happened after that would turn my family's world upside down. But before I tell you about that night, you need to understand how we got there. My father, Preston Sterling, was one of the most successful attorneys in the city. Everything in his life revolved around status, prestige, success, reputation. He spent decades building a powerful image. My mother, Vivian Sterling, came from a family of lawyers. Her father had been a judge. Her grandfather had been a judge. Nearly everyone in her family worked in law. To them, law wasn't just a career. It was proof that you mattered. Then there was my younger sister, Camille. Camille was 19 years old. Smart. Beautiful. Confident. Funny. Everyone loved her. Especially my parents. The sun rose and set around Camille. Every grade she earned was celebrated. Every achievement became family news. Every small success turned into a major event. And then there was me. The daughter who ruined the plan. The daughter who chose nursing. I still remember the day I told my parents. I was 18 years old. I had just received my acceptance letter into one of the best nursing programs in the state. I was so excited that my hands shook while opening the envelope. I had dreamed about becoming a nurse for years. Not because of money. Not because of prestige. Because I wanted to help people. I wanted to comfort patients during the worst moments of their lives. I wanted to make a difference. I thought my parents would be proud. I was wrong. The moment I told them, the excitement vanished from the room. Nursing, my father repeated. He slowly lowered his glass. That's what you chose? I smiled nervously. Yes. A long silence followed. My mother exchanged a look with him. Then she sighed. Raven, are you absolutely sure? I frowned. Sure about what? About throwing away your opportunities. The smile disappeared from my face. I'm not throwing anything away. You could attend law school. I don't want to. My father leaned back in his chair. Why not? Because I don't want to be a lawyer. His jaw tightened. Our family has spent generations building a reputation. I know. Then why walk away from it? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm not walking away from anything. Yes, you are. The discussion lasted nearly an hour. Actually, discussion wasn't the right word. It felt more like an interrogation. Every reason I gave was dismissed. Every explanation was criticized. Every dream I described was treated like a mistake. By the end of the night, I wasn't excited anymore. I was exhausted. That conversation changed everything. Over the next 4 years, I slowly became invisible. Every family conversation revolved around Camille. When Camille earned an A on a test, my parents celebrated. When Camille joined a debate club, they celebrated. When Camille received an internship opportunity, they celebrated. Meanwhile, my accomplishments barely registered. I earned scholarships. Nobody cared. I made the dean's list. Nobody asked. I received academic awards. Nobody even knew. The gap between us grew larger every year. At first, I kept trying. I called home regularly. I shared updates about school. I talked about clinical rotations. I told them about difficult exams. Most conversations ended the same way. Within minutes, my parents changed the subject to Camille. Eventually, I stopped calling as often. Nobody seemed to notice. Except one person. My grandmother. Dorothy Blake. She was my mother's mother. A retired nurse who had spent 40 years working in hospitals. She understood exactly why I chose nursing. Every Sunday, she called me. Without fail. Sometimes we talked for 10 minutes. Sometimes for an hour. She remembered every exam date. Every clinical rotation. Every difficult patient. Every success. When I was struggling, she encouraged me. When I was tired, she supported me. When I doubted myself, she reminded me why I started. One night during my second year of nursing school, I called her crying. I had just finished a terrible 12-hour clinical shift. Everything had gone wrong. I felt overwhelmed. Exhausted. Completely defeated. I don't think I can do this anymore, I admitted. Grandma Dorothy laughed softly. Of course you can. I made so many mistakes today. Did anyone die? I blinked. No. Then you learned something. Despite everything, I laughed. She always knew exactly what to say. I just feel like I'm failing. Raven. Her voice became gentle. Good nurses aren't born competent. What are they born? Tired. I laughed again. Then she grew serious. The reason you'll become a great nurse is because you care. I stayed quiet. You care about people. She paused. That matters more than any grade. I never forgot those words. While my parents measured success through prestige, Grandma Dorothy measured it through kindness. That was the difference between them. 4 years passed. I worked harder than I ever thought possible. I studied late into the night. Worked part-time jobs. Skipped vacations. Missed parties. Missed holidays. Sacrificed almost everything. Eventually graduation arrived. And all that hard work paid off. I graduated at the top of my nursing class. The highest-ranking student in the entire program. When I found out, I immediately called my parents. My mother answered. Hello? I did it. What? I graduated first. There was a short pause. That's wonderful. For one brief moment, I felt hopeful. Then she continued. Camille just finished another law school interview. They're very interested in her. My hope disappeared instantly. The conversation shifted to Camille. Again. By the time the call ended, my achievement felt smaller than ever. 2 months before graduation, an email arrived from my mother. There was no greeting. No congratulations. No excitement. Only instructions. Your graduation party will be held at the Sterling Ballroom. Saturday. 7 p.m. Your father has finalized all arrangements. That was it. I opened the attached guest list. My stomach dropped. 53 names. Most were my father's law partners. Corporate clients. Business associates. Political contacts. Several of Camille's friends. A few distant relatives. I searched carefully. None of my nursing professors were invited. None of my closest friends. None of the people who had actually supported me through school. I immediately called my mother. She answered after several rings. Yes? Can I invite some people? Who? My professor. A few friends. Some coworkers from the hospital. Silence. Then a sigh. Raven, this event is important. It's my graduation. Exactly. I frowned. Then why can't I invite my friends? They wouldn't fit. The words hit me like a slap. What does that mean? The atmosphere. What atmosphere? The guests are professionals. I stared at the wall. So are my professors. You know what I mean. Unfortunately, I did. I ended the call before I said something I would regret. That night I looked at the invitation. Elegant gold lettering stretched across the front. Celebrating the Sterling family. Not Raven Sterling. Not Raven's graduation. The Sterling family. My hands began shaking. Even my graduation had somehow become about them. I should have expected it. Still, it hurt. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling. For years replayed inside my mind. The sacrifices. The exhaustion. The loneliness. Everything. I kept asking myself the same question. Why wasn't I enough? Why did everything I accomplished somehow matter less? Why was Camille always chosen first? Around midnight my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally I ignored unknown calls. This time something made me listen. A voicemail appeared. I pressed play. Hello, Raven Sterling. This message is from Presbyterian Memorial Hospital. Please contact our office as soon as possible regarding your application. I sat upright immediately. My heart started racing. Presbyterian Memorial was the most prestigious hospital in the state. Thousands of applicants competed for positions there every year. Getting hired there was almost impossible. I called back immediately. The office was closed. The receptionist apologized. Dr. Nathan Mercer would like to meet with you tomorrow. My pulse quickened. Dr. Nathan Mercer. The hospital's director of recruitment. Why would someone at his level want to meet me personally? I barely slept that night. The next morning, I called Grandma Dorothy. She answered immediately. There's my favorite nurse. I smiled. Good morning. Something in my voice worried her. What happened? So I told her everything. The party. The guest list. The invitation. The feeling that I wasn't even welcome at my own celebration. She listened quietly. Then she asked a question. Did Preston invite me? I hesitated. I don't know. A long silence followed. Then she sighed. I see. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for their choices. Her voice became firm. I'll be there regardless. I laughed softly. You know Dad won't like that. I've survived much worse than your father. That sounded exactly like her. Then her tone softened. Raven. Yeah? Your value doesn't depend on whether your parents can see it. My eyes filled with tears. Sometimes I needed to hear those words more than I realized. Then she surprised me. By the way, I recently spoke with Dr. Nathan Mercer. My heart skipped. You know him? We served together on a healthcare foundation board years ago. I sat up straighter. What did he say? A smile entered her voice. He had wonderful things to say about you. What things? You should hear them from him. Grandma. Trust me. Before I could ask another question, she ended the call. I stared at my phone. Something was happening. I didn't know what. But for the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. And I had no idea that my entire life was about to change. 3 days before the graduation party, I drove to my parents' house. The large stone mansion looked exactly the way it always did. Perfect. Every flower trimmed. Every window spotless. Every detail carefully planned. The house looked beautiful. But it never felt like home. I found my father in his office surrounded by legal files and awards. He barely looked up when I entered. Dad, can we talk? What about? The graduation party. His expression immediately became annoyed. What about it? I'd like to invite a few people. No. The answer came instantly. I stared at him. You don't even know who I want to invite. I don't need to. I took a deep breath. My professors helped me through 4 years of nursing school. A nursing professor? He actually laughed. The sound stung. Dad. What exactly would my colleagues think? They would think I worked hard. They would think one of my daughters settled for less. The words hit me like a punch. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I graduated at the top of my class. In nursing. Again, he said the word like it was something embarrassing. Something beneath him. My chest tightened. Dad, this is my graduation. No. He finally looked directly at me. This is a Sterling family event. The way he said it made everything clear. The party wasn't for me. It never had been. Then he delivered the final blow. We'll also be announcing Camille's acceptance to Harvard Law. For a moment, I thought I had misheard him. What? It's the perfect opportunity. I stood frozen. You are using my graduation party to celebrate Camille? He shrugged. People will be interested. My stomach dropped. Years of frustration rose inside me. So why am I even there? He returned his attention to the paperwork. Just show up, smile, and try not to create unnecessary drama. I stared at him. Then I quietly turned and walked away. If I stayed any longer, I would cry. Or scream. Maybe both. My mother was arranging flowers in the kitchen. I decided to try one last time. Mom. She glanced up. Yes? Please talk to Dad. She immediately looked uncomfortable. About what? The party. She sighed. Raven. He isn't even pretending anymore. Your father means well. I laughed bitterly. No, he doesn't. He wants what's best for the family. What about what's best for me? Silence. My mother looked away. That told me everything. I left without saying goodbye. That evening, everything changed. An email arrived from Presbyterian Memorial Hospital. My hand shook as I opened it. Then I stopped breathing. The hospital was officially offering me a position in their emergency department. One of the most competitive nursing positions in the entire state. The salary nearly made me fall out of my chair. It was more money than I had ever imagined earning at 22 years old. But another paragraph caught my attention. The hospital wished to formally present the offer during a meaningful public celebration recognizing my accomplishments. I read the sentence 3 times. Then an idea formed in my mind. At the bottom of the email was another note. Mrs. Dorothy Blake highly recommended you. We are honored to welcome you to our team. My eyes filled with tears. Grandma. Of course. While everyone else ignored my achievements, she had quietly been opening doors. The next morning, I drove to her house. She was already sitting on the porch drinking tea. She smiled when she saw me. You got the offer. You knew? I hoped. I laughed. Then suddenly I started crying. All the pain from the past 4 years came pouring out. Grandma wrapped her arms around me. For several minutes, she simply let me cry. When I finally calmed down, she handed me a tissue. You've carried this alone for too long. I nodded. Why is Dad like this? Her smile faded. He measures success through status. She looked toward the garden. He spent so many years chasing respect that he forgot how to respect others. I swallowed hard. Will he ever be proud of me? Grandma looked directly into my eyes. You're asking the wrong question. What do you mean? The question isn't whether he'll be proud of you. She squeezed my hand. The question is why you've spent so many years needing him to be. Those words stayed with me. Because deep down, I knew she was right. Later that day, I spoke with Dr. Nathan Mercer. His voice was warm and confident. Raven, we're excited to have you join our team. Thank you. We'll see you Saturday. I hesitated. My family situation is complicated. He chuckled softly. Your grandmother already warned me. I laughed. That sounded exactly like Grandma. Then his voice became serious. Trust me, Raven. What? Saturday is going to be unforgettable. The day finally arrived. The Sterling ballroom sparkled beneath crystal chandeliers. Elegant music drifted through the room. Fresh flowers decorated every table. More than 50 guests filled the ballroom. Most were my father's associates. Exactly as expected. My father stood near the entrance greeting important clients. My mother stayed close to Camille. Camille looked beautiful in a dark green dress. As for me, I had been placed at table 6. Near the back. Far from the stage. Far from the spotlight. Even at my own graduation party, I was an afterthought. Then the ballroom doors opened. Grandma Dorothy walked inside. Every head turned. She looked elegant and confident. My father's smile vanished instantly. Dorothy. She smiled politely. Good evening. I don't remember inviting you. Several nearby guests heard him. Grandma wasn't intimidated. I wasn't aware I needed permission to celebrate my granddaughter. My father's jaw tightened. But he couldn't stop her. She walked directly to my table and hugged me. I'm proud of you. 3 simple words. 3 words I had waited years to hear from my parents. The evening continued. Dinner was served. Conversations filled the room. Then my father stood and tapped his glass. The ballroom grew silent. The moment had arrived. He spoke about family legacy. He spoke about achievement. He spoke about law. Then he turned toward Camille. A proud smile spread across his face. I'm proud to announce that my daughter Camille has been accepted to Harvard Law. Applause erupted. Then he looked directly at her. I wish it had been you holding that diploma tonight. The room became silent. You are the only child who has ever truly made me proud. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. Several guests looked shocked. Others stared down at their plates. No one knew what to say. Then Grandma Dorothy stood. The room instantly became tense. Preston. My father frowned. Sit down. No. Her voice cut through the silence. You just gave a speech at Raven's graduation party. This isn't the time. It is exactly the time. People started whispering. You didn't mention her once. My father's face turned red. Enough. No. Grandma stepped forward. For years you've ignored everything this young woman has accomplished. The whispers grew louder. She worked harder than anyone in this room. My father looked furious. Then the ballroom doors opened again. Every head turned. Dr. Nathan Mercer entered carrying a large envelope. The room grew silent. He walked directly toward me. Stopping beside my table. Raven Sterling? I stood. Yes. He smiled warmly. It's an honor to finally meet you. Then he turned toward the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for interrupting. His voice carried across the ballroom. But I have important business with Miss Raven Sterling. My father's expression changed instantly. Confusion. Then concern. Then panic. Dr. Mercer opened the envelope. Raven Sterling graduated at the top of her nursing class. Whispers spread through the room. Our hospital is honored to offer her a position in the emergency department. More whispers. Then he announced the salary. The ballroom exploded with gasps. Several attorneys nearly choked on their drinks. Even my father's law partners looked stunned. Dr. Mercer continued. Her evaluations are among the highest we've seen in over 15 years. My mother looked speechless. Camille stared at me in shock. Then Dr. Mercer pulled out another letter. This comes from the Dean of Nursing. He read it aloud. Every sentence praised my dedication. My compassion. My leadership. My work ethic. Then came the final line. Raven Sterling represents the future of healthcare leadership in this country. The room erupted into applause. Real applause. Not polite applause. Not forced applause. Genuine applause. For me. For the first time in years, people saw me. My father stood frozen. Unable to speak. I slowly rose from my chair. The applause faded. Every eye turned toward me. For years I had dreamed about this moment. Now it was finally here. I spent most of my life trying to earn my parents' approval. The room remained silent. I thought if I worked hard enough, eventually they would be proud of me. My father's eyes dropped to the floor. But tonight I realized something. I held up the offer letter. My worth doesn't depend on whether someone else recognizes it. Tears filled Grandma's eyes. I smiled at her. Then looked back at my parents. I'm done begging to be noticed. The silence was absolute. For the first time in my life, my father had nothing to say. Guests began approaching me, congratulating me, shaking my hand. Several of my father's law partners openly praised my accomplishments. One senior partner looked at Preston and said quietly, "You should be proud of her." Preston said nothing. The damage had already been done. As guests slowly left, Camille approached me. Her eyes were red. I didn't know. I looked at her. I didn't know it was this bad. For the first time, she sounded completely sincere. "I'm sorry, Raven." I studied her face. For years, I blamed her. But standing there, I realized something. Camille hadn't created the favoritism. Our parents had. And for the first time, she seemed to understand that. "I believe you." She started crying. Then she hugged me. And for the first time in years, I hugged her back. Over the following weeks, word spread. Many people who attended the party talked about what happened. Several clients questioned my father's behavior. Some quietly moved their business elsewhere. His reputation took a hit. Not because of me. Because of his own actions. My mother called several times. At first, she wanted me to help repair the family image. I refused. For the first time in my life, I set boundaries. And I didn't apologize for them. A month later, I started work at Presbyterian Memorial Hospital. The moment I walked through those doors, I knew I belonged. The staff welcomed me. The patients trusted me. And every day reminded me why I chose nursing. One afternoon, I helped an elderly patient who was frightened and alone. When I finished, she squeezed my hand. "Thank you for treating me like a person." Those words meant more to me than any title ever could. 3 months later, my life looked completely different. I loved my job. I had my own apartment. I had friends who supported me. Camille and I spoke regularly. Our relationship slowly healed. Grandma still called every Sunday. As for my parents, things remained distant. My father never truly apologized. My mother tried to reconnect, but years of hurt couldn't disappear overnight. The difference was that I no longer needed their approval. One evening, after a long shift, I sat on my balcony watching the city lights. My phone buzzed. A message from Grandma. "Proud of you. Always." A second message appeared from Camille. "Lunch this weekend?" Then another message arrived from a patient I had helped. "Thank you for your kindness." I smiled. A real smile. The kind that comes from peace. My father spent years trying to define my worth. But he was wrong. My value never depended on his approval. And the moment I finally understood that, I became free. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place?